So here we're doing an example of a trace table. So I've got my flow chart here on the left that you should have in front of you, and I've set up my little table here with my column heading sum and n. Those are my two variables. I've got a column here for output, and what I've added here is a column for loop, which I'm going to use to count how many times I go through this loop that we have in the middle of this flow chart. And the other thing I've added is a little box down here where I've said this program, and in here I'm going to write my description of what this program does. So we'll start up here at the beginning where it says start, and we just follow the arrows along. So first off, sum is 0, and what I'm going to say here is that first time, number of times through the loop is 0. So we haven't even gone through the loop yet. This says we set sum to 0, so I set that to 0. Then next step we set n to 0, so I set n to 0. Are we going to do any output? No, doesn't look like we output anything. So then we go into the loop for the first time. So I'll say here, this is our first time through the loop here, and we are going to do n equals n plus 1. So I take whatever is in n, I add 1 to it, and I store that back in the variable n. So instead of being 0, n is now going to be 1. My next step is I take sum, and I set sum equal to what is currently in sum, which is 0, and I add that to the current value of n. So sum is currently 0 because that's the last number I have in this column, and n is currently 1, so I add those together. 0 plus 1 gives me 1. Now I'm done the loop here, and I've come to this decision. Is n equal to 5? Well, I look at the bottom of this n column here. N is only equal to 1. Answer is no, so I go back up and I go through this loop again. So I'll say that this is my second time through the loop here. And let's see, what do? We come into the loop, n equals n plus 1, so currently n is 1, so we add 1 to this. N is now equal to 2. And then sum is equal to sum plus n. So sum is currently 1, so the current value of sum is 1. We add to it the current value of n, which is 2, so 1 plus 2 gives us 3. We're down to the end of the loop here. Is n equal to 5? Nope, current value of n is only 2, so we go through the loop again. So this will be our third time through the loop. And first thing we do, we take what n is currently 2, we add 1 to it to have n is 3. Then sum is whatever we have in sum, we add the value of n to it. So sum is currently 3, n is currently 3, so we add those together. We now have 6 in sum. Come down one more step. Is n equal to 5? Nope, n is equal to 3, so we go through the loop a fourth time. Add 1 to n is 3, we add 1 to it to get 4. We add up the value of sum and n to get 6 plus 4 gives us 10. And is n equal to 5? Nope, so we're back through the loop yet again. Take n, which is 4, add 1 to it, so n is now 5. Sum is sum plus n, so we have 10 plus 5 gives us 15. Is n equal to 5? Well, this time n is equal to 5, so instead of going through the loop again, we're going to follow the yes branch here, and we're going to print the current value of sum. So now we finally get to do something in our output table. We are going to output what is currently in sum, which is going to be the number 15. And there is our trace table. Now notice in this that n is basically counting the number of times through the loop. Okay? We went through the loop 5 times. Each time we went through the loop here, n was increased by 1. So what does this program do? Well, it outputs a single number, first of all. Outputs a single number. Okay. How did it get that number? Well, it took the value of n, okay, started with sum in 0, added 1 to it, okay, first time through the loop, then the next time through it added 2, then it added 3, then it added 4, then it added 5. So this number is, well, what is it? It's the sum. It puts a single number that is the sum of the numbers from 0, because we started with n as 0, to 5. So it outputs 15, which is the sum of the numbers from 0 to 5. And if in this decision diamond right here we had changed this to as n equal 10, it would put out the sum of all of the numbers from 0 to 10. Okay? And that's how you do a trace table.